Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be working on this Gouache and Posca illustration. It's the piece from my July Patreon postcard, as well as for a Draw This in Your Style challenge I am hosting to celebrate reaching 1K followers on Instagram. Feel free to grab your supplies and paint along with me, and let's jump right in. To start off, I sketched out the piece in Procreate, then redrew it onto watercolor paper. Usually I'd print it out and trace it to transfer it, but this time I decided to just freehand it, so it doesn't look exactly like my sketch, which I'm a bit bummed about. I find that my sketches always look better than my transferred pieces, but I guess that's what I get for being lazy. Anyway, after sketching, I laid down the base colors. I'm using the Skin Pastel, Lilac Pastel, Ceramic Light Pastel, and Blue-Violet Pastel Molotow markers, plus yellow, orange, and light pink Poscas. My initial plan was to use Skin Pastel for the skin, then shade it with Lilac Pastel, but as you'll see later, there isn't much contrast, so I switched to Gouache for that. For Gouache, I'm using the Himi Miya Jelly Gouache set. Initially, I thought about only using acrylic markers for this illustration since the video would be quicker to edit, but in the end I decided to use Gouache also. This is because this piece of paper is pretty small, meaning I'd have a hard time drawing in finer details since my markers are pretty thick. I did also want this piece to have enough detail since I'm using it as my Draw This in Your Style piece. Generally, an artist's Draw This in Your Style piece is a pretty good representation of their style, so I felt that using gouache was more in line with my style than only markers. But yeah, speaking of the Draw This in Your Style, I'm hosting one. If you haven't heard of it, Draw This in Your Style is a challenge artists like to do where one artist posts an illustration and they invite their followers or anyone who wants to participate to recreate it in their own style, then post it under a specified hashtag. It's a fun way to build community, as the host usually shares a lot of the participants' works, and the participants can check out their peers' pieces in the tag. I thought about offering a landscape for my Draw This in Your Style piece, but when I polled my followers, character illustration still won. If you're interested in the details, definitely check out my Instagram for it, the link is in the bio. Oh, I forgot to mention, but this piece was inspired by a character I had doodled in the past. She doesn't have a name or any set outfit, but the main characteristics she has are blue hair in a braid plus some sort of orange top. I guess she's technically an OC or original character, but I always hesitate to call the girls I draw OCs because they have zero names or personalities or any other storytelling elements behind them. I do think it's awesome that a lot of people love creating original characters, giving them all these character traits and writing stories about them, but that's just not something I've ever been interested in doing. My characters pretty much exist only in whatever illustration, or maybe in this case illustrations, I draw them in for no rhyme or reason at all other than aesthetics. That being said, if you feel like suggesting a name for this character, go for it. Maybe a name will stick eventually. But yeah, I'm not really sure where I got the idea for her from. I think it was just one of those things where, as I doodled on my iPad, I picked random colors to experiment with and just got lost in the rendering. I do also like the light blue plus orange and yellow color palette. Something about it feels very poppy. It's warm overall, but the blue acts as a nice accent color that doesn't seem too out of place for some reason. In earlier iterations, the blue tends to be closer to a teal color, but I changed it for this simply because I wanted to use these specific markers. Maybe I'll draw her again with a more bluish green color palette. Earlier I said that working in marker would be quicker to edit, and the reason why I think that is because when coloring with markers, I don't have to constantly get more paint, meaning I can fill in areas a lot faster. You probably don't notice this because I cut it all out, but when editing my paintings, I cut out most instances of when my hand leaves the frame to get more paint. This is mainly because I could be mixing for minutes at a time, and even if I speed it up, you'd literally be watching paint dry as I mix off screen. With marker, I might have to shake it a bit beforehand to get the juices flowing, but after that I can just fill in the entire space continuously. There are definitely gouache artists who use paint that's thick enough to fill in large areas this way, but I'm not really one of them. I think it's because when I mix paint, I tend to use smaller amounts since I don't want to waste any, which means I run out very quickly. As I've been painting recently though, I have noticed that I use slightly thicker layers than before, so I'm getting a bit better about it. But yeah, I don't have much more I feel like saying, so I'll turn up the music and let you enjoy the time lapse, and we'll chat again at the end of the video. Alrighty, here's the finished illustration. In general, I'm pretty happy with how she turned out. I liked using acrylic marker for the base layer, as it provided a way for me to quickly cover everything and not have any patchy spots in my base. As I mentioned before, this piece is July's Patreon postcard, so if you're interested in receiving this in the mail, check out the link to my Patreon in the description. Along with the Draw This in Your Style challenge, I'm running a giveaway on Instagram through September 14th, where the grand prize is a gouache painting by me, so definitely check it out if you're interested. That link is also in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.